So the principles, so they are now clear to you that this participant portal is the single gateway, so everything you want to do, you first log in and then you find the different functions there. Single sign-on is also clear to you. You have one login, one password, and you can access all the actions. And then you also know that once you have logged in, the system knows you and presents you with the artifacts that you have to know, and you have the necessary access rights. It provides also much more transparency than in the past. You will see this when the projects are in the process of implementation. Anything that is ever exchanged on a project will be archived in this project space, and you will be able to access it at any time. So starting from the submitted proposal, over the signed grant agreement, all the amendments, all the projects, everything, you find it there. And when I say you, it is everybody having a role in the project, having such an access right to the project, which also implies a certain new obligation, namely that the consortium should think a moment about the assignment of and the management of these roles. So people come into the organizations, leave organizations, partners leave the consortium, and so on and so forth. And as the management of these roles is largely in your hands, you should at least think about it once, how you want to manage it, so that not people having no longer any right to see all your project artifacts still have a role there and can spy on you when it's not really necessary. So the management of these roles is largely in your hands, in the hands of the consortium, and you should take it a bit seriously. The other technical provision we had to implement is this digital signature and digital sealing process to make sure that these electronic documents are safe in terms of document integrity, and also to have a trace of the ones who have signed and of these explicit act of will. You all know the homepage. You know that a lot is already accessible via public access, and you can then, when you want to enter your personalized web space, you can of course log in here. And once you log in, you see all this new menu appearing, which all starts with My, where you see the affiliation to your organization, or for some people even more than one. You see the list of all your proposals, all your projects, notifications, and if you are registered as an expert, have an expert profile, you can also access your expert profile. And when you are invited to, as an evaluator, to help us with the proposal evaluation, you can also do all your contracting there. You can send in your payment files and things. All depending, of course, on your access rights and your roles in the different organizations and projects. So this is this personalized space for the individual user. And you can also check a few things related to your account. For instance, you can check all the roles that are assigned to yourself, and if there is a problem, you can react accordingly. I also want to say, you can interrupt me at any moment, so if there is any question on any of these issues, just raise your hand and we will discuss. So I think by and large, I went through all this. There is the principle that, of course, one person, one ECAS account can have as many roles as necessary. So you can be at the same time participant contact in 25 projects, you can be linked to 70 proposals, you can be the leader of 3 organizations, you can have an expert profile, and so on and so forth. And this is all linked to your personal ECAS account. Do I have to go through the details of the different existing roles? So maybe just very briefly, we have roles at organization level, representing the whole organization as such, and then we have roles at project level. And they are, so to say, mutually exclusive. When you are the leader, for instance, the legal entity appointed representative, you have not automatically roles in projects. If you want to be involved in a proposal or a project, you have to acquire some of these roles here. On the other hand, when you have a role in a project, of course, you are not automatically authorized to act on behalf of the organization. There are roles that are a bit in between, and that concerns in particular the signatory roles. So we need people authorized to sign grant agreements and people authorized to sign financial statements. Okay, but you know that as a leader you are responsible for giving us, or for giving to the system, all the list of authorized signatories, and then the people from the project side have to pick from this list at least one who will then actually sign for that given project. And at the project level there are basically 3 different types of roles. We have roles that can do anything. These are the coordinator contacts. You have roles with the other partners which are not coordinator, which also can do everything apart from submitting to the commission. And then you have this task manager roles, meaning people who can fill in forms, upload documents, but not submit to anyone. And then you have this read-only role, which is called team manager, which can also be quite convenient if you want to give just for reading, for viewing the information access to people. And of course, the leader can have assistants which are called account administrators, and these can do actually the same as the leader himself or herself, apart from appointing other account administrators. Yes, so the leader can delegate, but this account administrator can delegate. Then you have these complicated tables showing you who is allowed to do what. I will not go really into details. So this is the table for the roles at organization level. You can go through it afterwards if you have still the doubt. And these are the roles at the level of the project. You see that for assigning and revoking other people to this project, only the coordinator and participant contacts can do it. All others cannot do it. So again, if you give an instruction in your organization, all participant contacts should, when the project starts, give a role of participant contact to the leader, then you should have solved that problem. How do you get these roles? There is an initial setup already, which comes from the proposal. The one who created the proposal is the coordinator contact. The other contacts are automatically participant contacts. For the leader, we know that there is a heavy paper process with lots of documents and signature, but that is the last paper interaction that we have. All the rest is then fully electronic in the system. And all the management, as I already indicated, of these roles and access rights is in your hands. It's in the hands of the consortium, with 2 exceptions, the leader, as we said, and the so-called primary coordinator contact. That is one person in the project, which is, so to say, the main trusted contact with the commission, which comes from the proposal, which is the main contact from the proposal. And if this person has to be changed, there has to be a back office intervention from the commission coordinator. But this is the only role where we need to intervene as Commission. All the rest is, again, in your hands. These are screenshots. I will not go through the details because you all know this. So this is what you see when you are a leader. You have all these action buttons. The signification of these buttons is explained here. You can see all the roles assigned in your organization. You can see all the proposals that were submitted to your organization. You can, of course, see all the ongoing projects, and you can then, of course, modify the organization data.
Excuse me?
Yes?
Can you repeat maybe how do you reach the page from where you assign all the other roles, or the leader himself, or the next steps to next
So
participants? What's the page that you access?
You want to know about assignment of roles, how you can assign roles to others. Is that the question? Because what I showed,
At least, I would like to know the steps from where somebody knows he is the leader,
yes,
and from there on. So how all the other definitions are assigned.
okay. When you are a leader or when you are an employee?
At least for the leader.
Okay. So what I showed here was only for viewing. So these are the buttons where you can view what happens. In order to change things, you have to choose the organization. Maybe we can even demonstrate it in the very practice. Let's try it. So I log in. I have to change this domain because I am European Commissioner.
We are external.
You are external.
We are not used.
Let's see if I do it right. Yes, so I am logged in, I have all that stuff. The issue is that I am not linked to organize. Ah, yes, I am linked to a test organization I created. So if these roles, these buttons are for viewing, if you want to change something, you have to choose the organization, and then you have these tabs here: details, roles, projects, proposals. And when you click on the roles tab, you have this overview of all the roles listed in the organization, and you have this button edit roles, and then you can revoke or add.
Okay, fine.
I cannot do it because it's not a validated organization.
And if you need to change something about the address of the organization, you can change that in details automatically.
So then I go back to the slides. If you want to change organization details, then you have a button here which is called Modify Organization. It's this brownish button.
Yeah.
And you click there and you come to a separate sub-page where you can change all the organization details.
After 4 months of signed papers.
You have to sign paper.
What you do here electronically is you so to say enter a request saying my legal address has changed, and you put in the data of the new legal address that is not valid automatically because you have to substantiate it with supporting documents. So we have to upload and extract from the Register of Commerce that your legal address has changed, because this is the, so to say, the very heavy valid organization data.
In the past, we could view projects by call, and now we can't see that.
But what you can do as a leader, you can download all these lists in Excel, and these Excel lists are not just what you see on the screen, it's much more. It's a big collection of many data on each project, and if you don't know how to manipulate Excel files, you ask your IT guy, and they will be able to make all sorts of statistics.
So that was intentional to
yes, yes. Because with these new Excels, we can give you a lot more information. Of course, in very technical form.
Excel is
Okay. Okay, we covered this. Let's just, the slides go through all these screens here, and here now we are in the My Projects. So in this example, there is somebody linked to 2 projects, and there is a yellow button in this case, which is called Project Consortium, and this is the button for changing the roles, for assigning or revoking the roles. So when you click on this, you come into such a screen where you have this tab which is called Consortium, and you can collapse and expand the section for each of the organization by just clicking on this accordion type presentation. And then, for instance, if you have a role as in the coordinating organization, you click here and you come begin to a screen where you can assign new roles. These tables seem very complicated with all these different access rights, but in fact it does not have to be so complicated because there are many options, but you don't have to use those options. So what you need as a minimum in a consortium is this list. You need one primary coordinator contact, you need one participant contact for each beneficiary, you need 1 year for each organization, one legal signatory for each organization, and one financial signatory for each organization. Of course, all these roles in an organization can be accumulated by one person. Meaning, for instance, if you are a one-person SME, you don't have to hire 5 people to fill all these roles. You can, of course, be you can fulfill all these roles as one person. So when you are indeed a one-person SME, you assign yourself the role of participant contact near Alzheimer's sign at the same time, and then you can run your program. In a consortium with 10 partners, there would be 40 roles to be assigned, and you need 10 persons, 1 per partner. But that's the minimum. You can have much more. You can have these read-only roles. You can have a very dynamic assignment and revoking of roles, depending on the actual organization within it. Okay. The LEAR process, I don't have to say, because I guess all your organizations have LEARs, only in case that you have to replace the person. The same heavy process has to be repeated. A new person, the new chain of trust has to be established.
Could you please summarize it, because we are in a situation where we have to change our LEAR.
Okay. So when you have to change your LEAR, you go to the portal and you download these documents, which are in Word. You have to complete some data. You print them. You sign them. That means when I see you, the legal representative and the LEAR have to sign several papers. And you also need supporting documents. And you need to prove that the legal representative who signs is actually the legal representative. And you need a second paper proving that this person, the physical person, is actually in that position. And then you need the ID cards or passport copies of both the LEAR and the legal representative. And all this has to be sent on paper to our validation service. So that is really a heavy process, but as I said, that's the process for establishing this chain of trust. All the rest is done fully electronically.
And how long it takes in order to be effective?
It can be very different. We indeed now have a backlog in this validation service, so they work on the basis of priorities, and the highest priority is given to grants that are about to be signed. So if you are in this situation, then it should go quickly. Then there was very often the question from big organizations, people don't know who the LEAR is in the organization, or you want to know who the LEAR of another organization is. We cannot display the identities of the LEARs because there is personal data protection laws, but we have now a function where you can contact the LEAR of an organization without knowing who he is. So you go to this organization search function in the portal, and you see the search results in these cards, and on this card there's a green button called Contact the Organization. When you click on this, there is a screen opening where you can say, "Dear LEAR, I am this and that person, and for that reason I contact you. Would you be so kind and come back to me?" And then if the LEAR is friendly enough, it will direct you. So this is the screen now. It is simplification. I will explain you why. Because this is just the same difficult thing happened, of course, on paper. So it's the way these grant agreements were signed. It's first the coordinator signs, then the commission signs, then all the other participants sign this accession form. Of course, the same process now is mapped electronically. The good thing is that it's much faster. So it has happened already. There are practical examples where all the signature process took place in one morning. And I mean, in the past, this took weeks. We had to send by courier service around the whole world these packages of papers so that it's smooth. So the process is actually exactly the same as on paper. So the commission prepares this grant agreement, puts it on the portal for signature as a sealed, digitally sealed PDF document, and the responsible people in the coordinator organization are notified. So the so-called people sign, the project-specific signatory, gets this notification, and other people get the notification copy, for instance, the year, and then they don't know what to do. And the legal signatory logs in, finds this project for signature, finds this button I want to sign, has to key in again this the ECAS password as an additional security, and also to document the so-called explicit act of will, which is a signature, which you usually do when you scribble. So that had to be mapped somehow electronically. And then, if he confirms again with the ECAS password and clicks, this grant agreement is legally signed by the organization, and the system produces a new PDF document adding a digital signature to that thing, which is also visible in this PDF, and you also can click on this signature and see in your PDF viewer that is a valid electronic signature with a third-party certificate and timestamp and all the metadata related to the transaction visible. So all these PDF documents that are digitally sealed cannot be changed. Anyone who wants to change them will break the seal, and this is visible then to everybody. So that is the method for assuring the integrity of these documents. And then the next step is that the commission, in the same way, the so-called authorizing officer of the commission does exactly the same from the back office side. Again, a new version of this PDF document is created, now carrying 2 of these digital signatures, and then each beneficiary legal signatory is notified, and they all go to the system and do exactly the same. Each time somebody does this, a new version of the PDF is created with the next digital signature. So that means in the archive of the project, when you have 10 beneficiaries in the consortium, you have 11 versions or even 12 versions of this PDF document. But of course, the system will always display which is the latest one, and the latest one is the one that is legally valid. Okay, you have said all this, I think. So, I don't go through the details of this. This is just explained in technical terms why this electronic version of the grant agreement is as sure and safe as any paper signed document. And now there is a screen showing in the grant preparation system how it looks for the legal signatory when he is asked to sign. So there you have this sort-called metro line new display approach, showing all the different stations here, and also having a color code, meaning if the color is yellow, the ball is in your court. So the consortium has to do something. If the color is blue, the ball is in our court. So not many of these transactions are ping-pong. Either you have to do something, or we have to do something in the system displays it like this. So in this case, it's the screen signing. You have the grant agreement ready for signature here. You have all these declarations on honor that had to be signed before, just for looking at them. And you also have a number of messages that you can access if you want to. But for signing, you of course click the sign button, And as I said, you are prompted again to put your ACAS password, and it warns you also again what you are actually doing, so that you don't click by mistake. And then the natural line becomes blue. It means you have signed, and you can of course see your signed document by opening that tab. And then when you go into this document, in the actual PDF, which is the signed grant agreement, you see, as I already mentioned to you, this kind of thing which represents the digital signature with many metadata, a timestamp, of course the ECAS credentials of the person having signed. And if you go to the respective function of your PDF viewer, you can also check whether this digital signature is valid. So that is this possibility for checking in your PDF viewer that the signature is valid, if you are indeed interested. And this is again a zoom in of this representation of the signature. We have blacked out the name and the ACAS ID of the one who signed this, because it's a real value. So the timestamp, and this is the hash value of the transaction. One of the documents that the organization signs when appointing the leader are the so-called terms of use of our electronic exchange system. So there, the organization commits to actually accept this way of signing documents. Because what we do here is not 100% equivalent of paper signature. It's not the so-called qualified electronic signature, which would be the real legal equivalent to hand signature. We have something which is a bit lower. So we need an advance agreement of all our organizations that they accept this way of doing. But as you all have already assigned your year, you have accepted it, so you are now bound and into our system. And there is one important article in these terms of use, and which also is accepted by any individual user of the system who is logged in. So maybe you have noticed it, maybe you didn't even notice and just clicked over it. When you use the system for the first time with your ACAS login, you were presented with these terms of use. And you had to click in a box saying, yes, I accept these terms of use. I'm nearly sure that nobody has ever read this. But there is one article, as I say, which you should be aware of, which is how you should handle your ACAS account. Because in the past, it's always just for information. Now, some of these transactions have a legal value, and you should be careful with your ACAS account. So, you have subscribed as a user of this portal that you don't transfer or even sell your means of access to anybody else. So you should keep your login and password secret, which also means that there can no longer be shared accounts linked to functional mailboxes, which sometimes happen in the past. It's also not necessary anymore to have such shared accounts, because the system is flexible enough that you can keep your account just for yourself, and still you can provide for any situation of absence or sickness or whatever, because you can give such roles to different people and still they have their own ACAS account. And we also say in another article that of course we consider that anything that is done using your ACAS account was done by yourself. So you have to take responsibility to make sure that your ACAS account is yours. And you are also supposed to change regularly your password. And I think there is even a period in which you are forced to change the password, for 3 months. Okay, all this help stuff is maybe also of interest. We have now this so-called online manual, which tries to give an introduction into all the wealth of information starting from a very high level, and it can drill down slowly into levels of higher detail. So this is the overview screen showing the things broken down by the different process steps and also by the different horizontal issues. So maybe I can go directly to the system for a moment. So it's under the how to participate, where you have the H2020 online menu, and when you click here, your internet is very fast. Or is it not?
Don't say so.
Or is there a problem with us? I don't know. You say it doesn't work? Okay, but this is the principles. I'm back to the slides. You drill down and you find more information, and you drill down to the lowest level and find even access to all the different documents. For instance, when you are in the grant preparation, you see an overview description of what is expected from you and many different items and so on. And you always, on many pages, have this green button, How To, which leads you to even more details on the explanations on how to use the IT system. So you use them. These are some more hyperlinks. I went through most of them. And that